Hello. The puppies greet you. The puppies greet you. Access to mentors and instructors. Access to mentors and instructors. I've said this multiple times. Your access to certain mentors and instructors in your life is a short window. Hey, is a short window. No. He thinks I'm going to play stick with him. I'm just breaking off this ladder fuel here. Hey. No. Your access to certain instructors and mentors in your life is a short window. Now, some people will hear me say those like, well, you just want to be my instructor. Nope. Probably not. If you're saying that to yourself, I'm probably not the instructor for you. I say that because hindsight being 2020, and most of my mentors and instructors are no longer on this earth. The majority, the vast majority. Some removed way before their time, in their prime, cut down. Some drowned, some got blown up, some got shot. Some died from cancer, some died from old age, some died from complications. Some, I was too busy in my life to seize the opportunity when they were around to ask them the questions. Many, distance has put us out of contact. Some have faded into the night. Some are behind lines in countries that are no longer accessible. I say these things because your mentors and having mentors is a concept that seems to have been lost on the current generations. They don't value it. And even to the point to where, and I've seen this within the military, and it's a test bed for social change. You have people that have had very extraordinary military careers, and then they move on to the civilian sector or the governmental sector teaching military students. And they are marginalized now by the current people pulling the strings because, hey, you're not in charge, I'm in charge. Ego and all that kind of stuff. What do you know, old man? Right? That kind of thing. Pride. Forgetting the fact to listen. I remember, I think it was selection. They brought out different speakers. I don't know if it was selection or not. It might have been the Q course. They brought out speakers. One of them had an extraordinary tale of evasion from World War II. And it was just like I was on pins and needles listening to every word that man said. And it seemed as if my peers at the time, we all had the collective experience, it seemed, because most of us were from rural environments in my era. Most of the guys grew up playing sports. Most of the guys were from the country. A few were from the suburbs. Even fewer were from the cities. And so the collective educational process for most of the people when I joined was quite different than what it is now. That demographic has changed. It has changed to the majority being from the cities. And so the collective, and I'm not saying this is a generational thing. I think it's more of a demographical thing. The collective willingness to listen to elders seemed way, way more prevalent and the generation that I was going through courses with, as opposed to the current ones I've seen. Because the value, the respect, people don't even respect the position of the president, right? That's totally gone on both sides. Regardless of what someone thinks, if someone got it, whatever, it's the positions, the highest office in the land is no longer respected. And what that shows is when that's it, it's like these values have gone away of respecting those that came before, respecting those that gave you what you have with, in some cases, great cost. In some cases, great cost, even up into including their lives, and definitely disrupting the lives of their families. Nope. This way, Zahn. That's a thing. Now, who are those mentors that I'm referring to? Well, in my context, a lot of them were military people. Some were survival titans. Some were survival titans with some military experience. Some with special operations experience. Some were the leaders that I had in my experience growing up. A lot of them were grandpas and grandmas. I learned a ton from my grandma. Learned a lot from my grandpa. Right? Which I think with the nuclear family being broken up, that's further and further removed. That just doesn't, it's just not there anymore. So the younglings aren't being raised with an appreciation for all that stuff grandma knows. A lot of my plant knowledge, I didn't even know I knew it, because I would go get poke salad with grandma or go morel mushroom hunting. I remember these things. These are early memories. These are some of my foundational memories I remember from my grandmother. And, family reunions where everyone was fishing, or cooking big meals, or, grandma always had canned food, always had a big garden, shucking corn and picking peas. That was the inheritance and the lessons and the sitting around, doing stuff sitting around, right? We weren't just sitting on our butt. We were doing stuff sitting around, and those mentorship experiences, I didn't realize what they were at the time. I didn't appreciate them for what they were. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, hindsight 2020. I wish I would have had more of them. And that's why I say these things. You don't know. You don't know. And some of the people that are most impactful in your lives, some of them that have been the most impactful in mine, I never even got to shake their hand. Some cases I did, but many I did not. I did not. Some of them wrote books. A few made some VHS tapes. Some even had some stuff online. But the majority, I wish I would have spent more time with when they were here. But I was too busy. I had missions, I had bills to pay, I had stuff to do. I was caught in the rat race. I was caught in the rat trap by my own design. I was caught in my own paradigm that I had to do things a certain way. I didn't have any other options in my mind's eye because I hadn't been taught any options in my mind's eye. Because quite frankly, a lot of the people around me didn't have any options themselves. But they gave me some other ones that were extremely valuable. Ones that have stood the test of time, pointing upwards. Even if it was clumsy, it was still pointing upwards. It was pointing in the right direction. It was pointing in the right direction, doing the best they had with what they had where they were, pushing the next generation forward as much as possible so they didn't repeat the same mistakes. They're rewriting our history as we speak. They are getting rid of the reminders and the monuments of the cost. They are trying to control every single bit of the narrative. And if you can convince someone that they are not what they are, is there any limit to what you can convince them of? Part of taking advantage of being around those mentors while you have access to them is it helps you define who you are and what you're about and what you value and what you want yours to value. That's a big part of it. Sometimes it's something that's just a skill. It may not have a deeper theological meaning. Sometimes it's, hey, I want my kids to be able to make bread if someone gives them flour. That inheritance some of us had and didn't even realize it. And then later on in life, because of transference, we think our peers know those things. And then we get in a position where we're in charge. Because they say, hey, you know that plant, the book says that plant, I can make flour from it. Okay. Well, here's a pound of flour. Do something other than making glue. You laugh, but I've done that to many of our nation's elite. And the looks of terror was like, I don't know what to do with this, and make glue, put water in it. That's what you see. Because that collective knowledge is no longer collective. I know, and I have been taught multiple times, different places tracking. And I have a lot of reps and sets doing it. I can tell you, after being around a master, I am barely literate in comparison. When you watch the Bushmen in Africa track, they consider people that can't track illiterate. They just do. They just do. And so, if you're the only person that knows that what a track looks like, right? You see that, you're like, oh, there's a track, right? Or tire tracks is what you know. You may be the biggest tracker in your little area. However, there might be some old guy that runs trap lines that feeds himself that knows way more. And you might just be neighbors with him. You might want to pick his brain if you want to know that stuff. You might want to sit down and slow down and have that cup of coffee and listen intently to the details of what he's saying, because some of the details that he's saying is pure gold. It's pure gold. Some of the details my grandmother showed me, I didn't realize I owned them until I was trying to teach that skill to someone else. I didn't understand it, right? Because it wasn't like she's like, hey, let's go, let me give you a class on mushrooms. No, it was like, hey, look for this, and we went out and got mushrooms. Went out and did it. The doing part was necessary, but I also like, hey, what about this? Nope, that one's bad. Nope. She was there to tell me that's bad, not to eat. This is what bad looks like. If I was left on my own to flounder, I probably would have put every mushroom in my mouth. Right? Because I didn't really understand the genre to the extent I needed to in order to be safe. And I certainly wasn't in a position to teach people until years and years and years later. And even that, there's certain things I proceed with a ton of caution because I know the cost of them. I know the cost. And heaven forbid I tell you to do something and that costs you an ultimate price. That's why I guard things so much. That's why I'm careful. So I'm careful. I point in directions. I tell you to get training. I tell you to get in-person training. There's only so much that can happen through a screen. Through a screen. What did you find? I tell you, that dog will find food if it's around. So, attention to detail. It's huge. Ensure you have the reps and sets with those mentors while you have access to them, because that institutional knowledge that is extremely valuable, that they learned the hard way through the hard knocks, may fade away into obscurity. I have seen that in multiple fields of study, especially with plants. So go find your mentors. Go find your instructors. Go visit grandma. Go to the old folks' home if you don't have them. Go do something nice for them, because that's infectious. I will tell you, I learned a ton from visiting old folks' homes who were people that unfortunately have been put there because they didn't have any family left, or their family didn't value them for the treasures that they are. So if you don't have any of them in your circle, if you don't have any grandmas and grandpas in your circle, or great grandmas and great grandpas, or great grandmas and grandpas, go find them. The ones that are still active in the mountains, boy, they know some stuff. But there's even some in the cities that have been put there. Go visit them. Be a blessing to them, and they will bless you exponentially. Get outside, carry rucksacks, not feelings bags. Shalom.